What up, Snarf Gang? It's your boy Snarf Brownie, and today I'm going to be reviewing the manga that inspired Hajime Ippo, Ashita no Joe, Fighting for Tomorrow. I really like Volume 1, but there's something I got to get out of the way right before the review. This price is $50 fucking for this shit. Now, if you're not someone who buys a lot of graphic novels like me, you might not have a regular gauge of what prices are typically, but most manga that's this thick and a hardcover in this format is around $35. Here, I have an example right here. This is Tomi by Junji Ito, $35. Uzumaki by Junji Ito, $28. Here is Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater for $35. Same format, same everything, just a different story. In fact, I think the paper quality is actually higher for those. For the Junji Ito ones at least. But the only reason I actually bought it was because this was on sale on Amazon for $35. But I will not be buying Volume 2 unless it's discounted to at least $35. Because $50 for a manga of this size is outrageous in my opinion. And that's just greedy and bullshit. Because I've been buying manga for a long time, and I've bought a lot of mangas this exact same size, and never once have they had the audacity to ask for $50 for a single volume. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to continue it unless they start cutting down the price and putting the other volumes on sale. But, with that out of the way, let's get into the review. This guy's name's Joe, and he's an orphan, and he basically wanders around in these slums, and he's literally so violent. He gets into fights with almost every person he meets. And he meets this old dude with an eye patch that basically was a boxer back in the day, and he's obsessed with boxing, and he sees how powerful Joe is, like he's just got really natural power. So he basically wants to train him to fight, and he basically just keeps following him around, whatnot. And Joe doesn't really care. Eventually, he gets into some trouble and gets thrown in prison because he's kind of a troublemaker. But actually, I don't know if I want to spoil too much about it, but what I am going to say is there are a lot of fights in this manga, but there's not an actual boxing match till like way late into it. Like, literally the very first boxing match starts like right here. That's like near the end. So if you're willing to wait for it, I promise the story's good, and there is a lot of fighting in it, so you're not going to be bored or anything. Another thing that's interesting about it is this manga actually inspired I think it was like a terrorist group or something in Japan, so that's kind of cool. I just looked it up, and apparently they were a group called the Red Army Faction of the Communist League. And Ashita no Joe was sort of a mascot for them that they used because they were inspired by the series. There is one scene in the beginning of Ashita no Joe where he and the group of kids he, sort of runs scams with, they're in this abandoned building, and he invites these reporters over, and he basically, before the reporters get there, he talks to the kids about like what his plan is with all this money that they've been gathering, and he starts talking about like building an amusement park and like an old folks home and an orphanage and like a bunch of stuff to basically help the city. The amusement park is pretty much the only selfish one, and I think that could potentially be part of what inspired this, but I've only read Volume 1, so there's probably more themes like that it gets into later on in the series, but that was really the only thing I could think of from that alone. Unless it's also about, kids getting lost in the system, because I could get that too. But yeah, that's basically all I know about it. I'm not going to do too much research about this terrorist group because it kind of takes away from the manga, but fun fact. Anyway, the old dude, once he does go to prison, basically like sends him letters training him, because there's this other dude in the prison that beats his ass and he wants to get better to fight him. And that's basically the plot of the first volume. And I really liked it. I like Joe's character. He's a very stubborn, doesn't take shit from anyone kind of guy. Like, the slightest disrespect will really piss him off. So he That's another reason why he got thrown in prison. Like, there's a scene where he, like, beats the shit out of every police officer in a police station. Like, this dude's crazy violent. Like, there's a reason why he's in prison, bro. He deserves it. But I will say there's one thing that's kind of disappointing about this first volume, and that is you don't even get to see the boxing match's conclusion. It's the thing the whole volume leads up to, but it's left on a cliffhanger at the end of the first volume. And unfortunately, the second volume is only discounted at like $40-something, which is too high for me. Not that I'm super broke right now, but I'm not trying to spend that much when I don't think it's worth that much, because I'm not trying to get abused as the consumer. So, Ashita no Joe. Story, because I'm a huge fan of fighting manga, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10, honestly. Because the story is kind of... It has its unrealistic elements, like a kid actually being able to knock out every police officer in a police station, just beat the shit out of them. Like, you obviously wouldn't be able to really do that. There's a little bit of a fantastical element to it, just like hyperbole, you know, with how powerful these guys really are. Obviously, no human's really that strong. And there's also some comedy with the kid characters, because like Joe kind of befriends some kids in the slums, and like they kind of run scams together. That's one of the reasons he also gets, you know, thrown in prison. But the art's pretty good, but it's nothing crazy. It's sort of a vintage manga style. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10 on art. Nothing too crazy, but I still like the art, you know. It's just nothing super impressive. Overall, that's my rating of Ashita no Joe Fighting Normal. Please lower the price, you greedy fucks. It is not worth $50 fucking. It's like an outrageous amount of money to ask for a black and white, no color ink, like eggshell white newspaper quality paper hardcover that only includes like what, there's probably 3 volumes of the manga. What are you trying to play here, guys? You think I'm not an experienced manga fan? You guys think I don't know that this is a shit price? Like, the series is not good enough for me to justify it paying that extra price. Like, that's all I'm gonna say, at least for me. Because even though I really like this series, and I've actually been really wanting it to get printed in English for me to buy it for a long time, ever since I heard about it, that extra $15 still makes it not worth it to buy. So, that's just a message to whoever's selling this shit. Even though you probably won't listen to me, even though it probably won't even get to you, but that's just how I feel personally.